what's up YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video game review. And for today, we're going to be taking a look at, if I could get it, Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challenge for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fighting game person though, and the truth of the matter is, I'm not exactly 100% great at those type of games, though. Not that I'm against them or anything like that. I'm not against fighting games in general. It's just that I have a hard time playing them. I have a hard time pulling off special moves and so on. Doesn't matter if it's Street Fighter or Soul Calibur or Tekken or Mortal Kombat. I've always had a hard time with those games. That said, I'm not against those games or anything like that. And I have heard of Street Fighter 2 before. It's considered by many to be one of the most classic fighting games, and it exploded when it came out back in the 90s though. And since then we've had many different versions of Street Fighter 2. I think Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2 Championship, even Street Fighter Alpha had different versions as well, up to even Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 4 3DS, Street Fighter 4, I think Champion Edition, I believe that's correct. I'm not 100% sure, and of course up to Street Fighter 5. So the series certainly has gained a following, even been seen, I believe, also in esports as well. At the same time, the series has also had some controversies, from two of its supposedly bad movies, including the first one with Jean-Claude Van Damme in it, to the controversy with Street Fighter V, where many people felt it was an incomplete game shipped for $60 or so on. So the series had its ups and downs, and it's been a while since the series has made an appearance on the Nintendo system. The last Street Fighter game I remember that appeared on the Nintendo system, I believe was Street Fighter Alpha on the Super Nintendo, but that was during when the Super Nintendo was dying down and we were going up to the N64. We've had several Capcom fighting games made an appearance on the Nintendo systems before, including, oh, that's my cat, including Game Boy Color, to Game Boy Advance, to, let's see, what else? Oh yeah, the GameCube with Capcom vs. SNK 2 EO, to the Wii, which got Tatsunoko vs. Capcom as well. So but for this one, this is sort of the first time we've gotten a Street Fighter game, let alone Street Fighter 2, on a Nintendo system for a while. So, how does it play? Well, it isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, though, or isn't as terrible, but it's going to depend on how much you're willing to spend, and I'm going to get to that point as well. And originally, I will say, I was not planning to pick up this game, though. Originally, I was just going to skip it. Again, not that I'm against the series or anything, it's just, I'm not exactly good at playing the game or anything like that. But there was one mode that caught my attention that made me convinced to try this game out, though. So, I'm going to get to that, though. So, why don't we get started with our pros and cons. Let me get that up for yourself. Alright. First off, we'll start with the first pro. Let me see if I can adjust that. Okay, and the first one is the visuals. And I have to say, I really like the 2D graphics in the game, though. I really enjoy... Hold on one second. I mean, I really do like the visual, the 2D hand-drawn animation in the game. And what I also like is the fact that you could choose between the HD remix, though, or the classic original visuals that were seen in the original Street Fighter 2, and the sound as well. I mean, this is very similar to the recent release on both the PS4 and the Switch, the game Wonder Boy, where you could switch between two different visuals and sound. So I'm glad they added that option in the game, though. The next one I will point out is the control schemes, and there are plenty of ways you could play Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challenge, though. You could play it with a single Joy-Con, you could play it with, if you have the Joy-Con drip, you could use that. You can even, of course, use the Pro controller as well, probably the most ideal choice right now, though. And while And while there's currently no fighting stick for it, at least for now though, although I didn't remember hearing about one, but I think it might be only in Japan for the moment though. But in either case, for now though, probably the best option to use would probably be the Pro controller. But that said, I like the fact that there are different options and different control schemes you can use. Alright, the next one I'm going to be talking about is Lite mode. And this is a mode I do enjoy though, and that is this. Hold on. It's a little warm, so I'm getting a little thirsty though. Excuse me. Lite mode is basically a mode where you can assign, your special moves. Like if you have a hard time inserting the input to do any of the character's special move, you can assign it to basically, a button or so on. If you're playing the game in portable mode, you can assign it on the screen and activate it like a touch screen, very similar to how it was on Street Fighter 4 3D for the Nintendo 3DS, however. So I definitely like this. I definitely like the fact that you can assign that, and that can come in handy for those who maybe have a hard time doing the inputs compared to, say, other people though. I do want to point out, however, if Lite mode is not your thing, you can set the control scheme to Pro setting and do it the old-fashioned way, where you input the commands or do the special moves that way, though. So if you're worried about Lite mode, don't worry. You don't have to use that mode. You could turn it off or ignore it and just stick with just Pro mode if you want to do that. But other than that, Lite mode is definitely great for those who, like me, though, who have a hard time, inputting the special moves and so on. And last but not least, there is some new stuff that they added to the game, though. Basically, one of the new stuff is Dynamic mode, where basically two fighters share the same health bar and they take on a much tougher opponent, though. It's a fun mode, indeed. I tried it out a little bit. There are options where you could do it CPU and CPU versus, the other CPU. I know that sounds odd. You could do it where one player controls the character while the CPU controls the other character. Or if you have two players, though, you could have two players take on the CPU. So it's definitely a nice addition. Plus, we also got two new characters, though, although supposedly they've been in other games before. Basically, there's Evil Ryu and Violent Ken. So it's a new character, two new characters that are added to the Street Fighter 2 roster for all we know, though. So it's nice that we got that, and also a mode that's actually quite fun, though. Alright, we're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we are going to get to the cons for Street Fighter 2, Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challenger. So we'll take a little bit of a break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our review of Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challenge. So now that I got the pros out of the way, why don't we get started with the cons? So let me get my notes back up again. Here we go. As far as the cons go, there are about 4 that I could come up with based on my time playing the game, though. The first one is the Lite mode. Now, as I mentioned before, in the pros, though, that I did enjoy the Lite mode, and I still do, and I still think it's great, especially for those who might have a hard time performing special moves. So while I do think the mode is good, though, I would have liked, however, if they added the control scheme option that were in games like Capcom versus SNK EO, where you could perform special moves by just, moving the right analog stick, or in this case on the GameCube, the C stick, though. So it would have been nice to have that, or the one from Tatsunoko versus Capcom that was on the Nintendo Wii, where if you hold the Wii remote on its side, special moves can be formed. Like, say for example, Ryu could do his uppercut by holding down, I think it was the 1 button and pressing up, though. So in your case, again, I enjoy Lite mode, but it would have been nice if they added those options, control scheme options from those 2 games that I like to point out, though. The next one I want to point out is the online, though, and based on my time with it, it kind of was a sort of a hit and a miss. I was able to do some matches, but then there are times where it feels like game can't find any opponents, though. Now, I don't know whether or not that's on Capcom side where they're having troubles with the servers or something, or that's on Nintendo side, or it has something to do with me, with my Wi-Fi or so on. So whatever the case it may have been though, there are times I was able to get some matches, and there were times where I couldn't get any matches at all. The next one, and I think this is probably the worst mode that Ultra Street Fighter 2 The Final Challenger has, and that is the Way of the Hado, if I'm saying that correctly though, Hado, where basically it's a first-person mode where Ryu is like doing his fireball moves or something like that, and let me just say, it's bad. The motion controls are just terrible in this game. The fireball performing, you know, Ryu's fireball, I know it sounds a little cheesy for me doing this, but yeah. It's not as bad, but doing the other moves, however, are, and it's just the motion controls are terrible. It just feels like one of those, it sounds good on paper, but it is sort of poorly executed. So it's probably the one mode that not a lot of people are going to pay attention to, or play it once and forget about it though. Luckily the other modes are fine though, so this is one that probably will be forgotten very quickly. And last but not least though, and this one is kind of the elephant in the room for this game though. I won't say it's a huge con, but it's going to depend on your view though. Basically, this game here basically is $40, and basically that's what they're charging for Ultra Street Fighter 2 The Final Challenger for the Switch though, $40 for it though. I was able to save some money off by using Best Buy's, you know, Buyers Gamers Club, or I think that's what it's called, I'm not 100% sure. But in either case though, and $40 is not necessarily bad or anything for the game though, compared to other Switch titles which cost around $60 and so on. That said, however, this is a 9-year-old game that was released back in 2008 that was a port of a PS3 and 360 game, a downloadable title called Street Fighter 2 HD Remakes, which, correct me if I'm wrong, was $14 when it came out. So I could see why it might be a hard sell for some people. You're asking people to pay $40 for a 9-year-old game. When it originally came out, it cost like around $14, and last time I heard, I think someone pointed out it costs $2 now, you know, on the PlayStation Store, I think for the PS3 and so on. So, to me, $40 isn't terrible, but I can see why some people may be upset about it, though. Overall, Ultra Street Fighter 2 The Final Challenger, if I could get that, let me just move that down right here. Okay. Ultra Street Fighter 2 The Final Challenger is still a fun game, though. Like I said, visually it looks nice. There are different control options, and the Lite mode definitely is for those who basically are not good at fighting games though, not to mention when it comes to online matches, you can set it to either any control scheme or to a specific control scheme, so if you don't like playing against someone in Lite mode, you can do that though. However, the two big things I think will hold the game back, however, is the Way of the Hado, if I'm saying that right, Hado, correct me if I'm saying that wrong though, it's probably the worst mode. It's not something that I would say avoid though. You could try it once and then it's going to be forgotten, so that's the worst mode in the game. And the excuse me, and the price tag is really the big issue though. So those are probably the two biggest things I can say about the game though. If you're willing to, if you're don't have an issue paying $40 for essentially a 9-year-old game, then it's worth giving it a try though, alright? I never played Street Fighter 2 HD Remake, so I don't have an issue paying $40 for it though, but like I said, I can understand why some people may have an issue with it. But overall, a good fighting game, probably something to keep you occupied until ARMS comes out, or whenever, you know, the eventual release of Smash Brothers, or if, say, Namco decides to bring Soul Calibur or the Tekken series over to the Nintendo Switch. So, but overall, a good game nevertheless. just the price point might turn off some people, and the way the Hado is probably a mode that probably should not have been in the game in the first place, though. Okay, this concludes my review of Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challenger for the Nintendo Switch. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours, though? Is Ultra Street Fighter 2 the final challenge a game worth picking up for $40, or is it not worth picking up, though? Are you gonna try? Is it worth? I mean, excuse me. Is it worth $40? Is it not worth $40, though? What about some of the modes in the game? Do you like the dynamic buddy system? Do you not like it? What about basically the way of the Hado? Do you actually enjoy that mode? Did you actually have fun with it? Or do you think it's just, agree with me, it's just downright awful? Do you agree with my review? Do you disagree with my review? Do you have a different take? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate that. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and also, feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me, or you could do it through Patreon. Links will be in the description below. Also a link to gameplay footage if you want to check that out as well. It's evening in Southern California, so I'll be getting ready for bed soon and so on. So until then, this concludes my review of Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challenger, and I will see you again next time when I do another review. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day. Bye.